This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Styles with the save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Red Side of the Trent, here to give you more match reaction as Forest beat Liverpool to climb out of the relegation zone. The first time we have beaten Liverpool at Anfield back-to-back seasons since 1963, as Colin Frey really undertoned that by the way, that fact. It was really I think it was just because it was so easy, guys. But I'm delighted to be joined by Matt Barnsley. It is not Reese Lane, it's Emma George and Jess Selby. Jess, I'll start with yourself. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling a very broken woman this morning, but a very happy one at the same time.
More broken than last season? Or...
Oh, more broken than last season. I think last season you were sort of in this, I sort of said it yesterday and it sounds a bit strange, but it sort of reminded me of the Bristol City game when we came up that season. It was suddenly that moment of, we're doing something here. Whereas this season, it was just like, each goal that went in, it was just like another 2 fingers up to Liverpool. So it was, it was just brilliant. So if I sound a bit croaky, it is purely from yesterday, not because I smoked 40 a day.
Brilliant. Emma, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm also broken. The roles are reversed today. So Reese has got the dog. He's been putting witch hazel on my bruises. So yeah, I'm all good. Thank you.
Brill. And Matt, no means least, not last but no means least. How are you?
Oh, that's probably similar to the girls, quite broken. If I cough a little bit from this, I do sincerely apologise. Probably similar to yesterday, my voice has gone. So I'm, it was a pretty wild day yesterday.
I know, especially with the cricket going horribly wrong for yourself as a massive England fan. And I mean, I like to rub salt in the wounds with that, Matt, because it's meant to be a 5-day game, not a 2-day.
Yeah.
So, all that, but hopefully England will recover later on in the series. Jess, I'm going to start with yourself. I mean, just sum up yesterday's emotions. I know you've said you're a broken woman, but I mean, to go there and win last season 1-0, where kind of rode our luck a little bit, but then was fairly comfortable in the end. Yesterday to 3-0, like honestly, against the champions who've spent $500 million this season. Yeah. It's an embarrassment, really, from their point of view. But I mean, the Dyche, Wone and Stone train kind of just keeps on going at this moment in time.
And long may it continue. Yeah, I think yesterday it was just sort of, my confidence grew as their confidence kept growing. I think as the game went on, we always said when we came up to the Premier League that when you played what you would call the big six, is you could play at 100% and they could play at 50% and you'd be on equal ground. And all they needed to do was turn it up for 5 minutes, score 2 quick goals, and you were out of the game. How many times did we see that happen the first couple of seasons? And that's the problem when you do go to places like Anfield, that you do think that's going to happen. But even at 2-0, you just sort of saw that Forest just was holding it and keeping the confidence and keeping it tight. And in the end, when I sort of look back, yes, Liverpool had a lot of possession, but they didn't really lay a finger on us. So I think yesterday, although I think that's why it was such a delirium, I think that's why I am so broken, because with like 20 minutes left, I didn't feel like we were in any danger at all. And it was like, we are actually going to beat these. And if we keep going, and it was to the point where you were thinking, I'm actually disappointed this is 3. Like it could have been 4 or 5, because, and they gave up. They, once that third goal had gone in, they didn't really give us anything. So yeah, emotions absolutely on top of the world. And I think the lads did amazing. They just knew what they were doing. I think Voice, Stone, Wone and Dyche, they put a perfect plan together, carried it through from start to finish. Every player knew his job, and every player to a man put a 10 out of 10 performance. I can't fault a single one of them for the effort they put in yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, Emma, did you ever think it resembled last season a little bit in terms of Liverpool had a lot of possession? We rode our luck out maybe a tiny bit with Elliot Anderson clearing one off the line. But then after that, once we got in front, it just kind of looked like we had them at arm's length. Like Gakpo and Salah were getting no change out of Savona or Salah too much. And then Milenkovic and Murillo, as we said yesterday, look back to their best at the moment. And Sells even looks confident again, actually. I actually thought he did well yesterday.
Yeah, I said to Jesse, came out for a couple of balls, which hasn't been like him in the past few weeks. So that was quite nice to see. Hopefully that these past couple of weeks, I know he's been away with Belgium, but hopefully he's had a bit of confidence instilled in him, with what Dash has been doing on the training ground. I think we look more comfortable, than last season. Like Jess said, we went 1-0 up. We soaked up their pressure, for me, really well. Yes, they had, however many corners and, they had however many millions of pounds on the pitch, but they didn't do anything with it. They didn't, for me, they didn't ever look like scoring. Whereas I think we could have gone 3-4-5 for me.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, yeah, I mean, what I find baffling as well is how the change from, Nuno, forget about Nuno because that was a bit of a disaster, but from Ange back to Deitch now, because Deitch and Nuno are pretty similar, that this type of football just seems to suit us. The third goal really epitomises from last season. I mean, it's one ball from Murillo to Hutchinson direct as ever. And then Morgan Gibbs White pops it. That kind of just we've gone back in a time lapse to last season now, and we look comfortable. And Gibbs White kind of summed it up in his BBC interview where he just said we've been running a lot, and that I think yesterday showed that.
Absolutely, there was a few things yesterday which I thought were really, really pleasing. Ultimately, the most one, we scored 3 goals and we of course we won 3 points. But I think some of the really pleasing aspects from yesterday, and just with always think with modern day football and everybody so intertwined into a pet way of playing, and you've got to play 20-30 passes before sticking the ball into the net. I said after the Leeds game, you can play direct football as we did yesterday, but get your technical players into the game and they can show their quality, so it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I thought there was so many pleasing aspects yesterday in terms of we were examined multiple times from set pieces, which we dealt with really, whether that be from corners or from wide free kicks. Murillo and Milenkovic were absolutely colossal, as were the 2 fullbacks. Fitness, because I know that after Bournemouth, Dyche said he was concerned about fitness. I thought that the fitness yesterday to go to the end. So you look for of course, the main thing is yesterday's 3 points and gets us out of the relegation zone. But in terms of bigger picture thinking, there's so many pleasing aspects in terms of just general growth within the team and stuff that's going to be sustainable over a period of time. And I said to a lad before the Porto game with the Dyche appointment, this is as near as to a Nuno style of playing as you're going to get. And this whole team of recruitment and the players that we've signed are built around that style of play which we implement and clearly works for us. So yeah, it's just brilliant day, brilliant 3 points, and it looks the whole bigger picture now in terms of the rest of the season, not just yesterday. It looks like a whole lot, the skies have cleared, and for the first time this season, I feel like we're going to be okay.
Yeah, a few comments coming in. So Simon says, "You Reds still buzzing that," and he's also followed it up with you, Matt. At least I forgot about the cricket after the football. Susanna, morning, and what a good morning it is. NFFC Reds. Yesterday was another training session at Anfield. Emma, you've got one. Can we get Emma and Reese's dog on the pod? He's a beauty, and love to see occasional pictures of him in the forest garden. Get that picture that you've just shown us on. Where is that?
He did just come in, but he's gone now. But this one,
yeah, that's it.
Bless him. Yeah, he's gone now. He's off.
Oh, fair enough. Yes, let's start with the start of the game. I mean, Dyche picked we said this yesterday about Dyche picking the same sort of team, same system, and I think it's clearly working because we've had a run of games now where we're picking up results. I mean, Bournemouth aside, because he tried it after a midweek game, and I think he's realised that he does need to rotate slightly in Europe, but it's just showing that football is a very simple game. And was you quite pleased to see that same team, or was you surprised that someone like Amari Hutchinson didn't start from the off as well?
I think for the first minute, I was probably like, I'm surprised Amari maybe hasn't got a start. But then when you do strip it back, you do think he's still a young lad. He hasn't had many minutes. His fitness for the game isn't there at the minute. So I wasn't, when you sort of just took a second, it was like, no, actually, don't fix. It is that standard, isn't it? Don't fix what isn't broken. We had done really well with it. I think what we did so well under Nuno, and it is very well known that Nuno likes a very small, tight squad, is that we played the same players over and over again. This season is very different. We can't do it. And I think the proof was in the pudding last season because we took the FA Cup so far. And you saw our fitness potentially struggle because of that as well. Whenever we had an FA Cup game, so we had to double up in the league, I think that's probably where our downfall started to come as well. We knew we were always playing catch up last season, but I think the FA Cup didn't help that. But from the season, word go this season, we knew we had to rotate from the beginning. So you're right. I think Deitch, I think he learned his lesson at Bournemouth, but many a manager before him have gone to Bournemouth and not done the right thing, Europa or not. So we'll give him his dues on that one. But no, I was pretty pleased to see the same thing. And going back to that confidence thing, I think if a player and a team have put in that kind of performance where they have comfortably won, put in a performance that they were proud of as well, I think it goes well to reward them. I know you will touch on him in a bit, but with Morgan Gibbs-White as well, we know his confidence, particularly this season, has been absolutely shot. He's been told to England a couple of times, not been played half as much as Anderson, who came in late and has took his position in the England squad nicely. He's struggled to fit in at Forest this season, come up a lot against a lot of backlash. It's players like him and the team that sort of surround him that if they do a good job at the minute, I think you need to keep playing them to prove to them that they are still the players that got them to the Europa League last season. They're still the players that the pundits were absolutely waxing lyrical about them last season. And the proof is in the pudding, because yesterday, and I don't know about you guys, but my God, it was good to see them enjoying their football again, because yesterday was the first time they all looked so happy to be on the pitch and loving life again, similar to what we did last season, halfway through the season, when we were just swiping teams away. It was great.
I mean, I think it's reiterated from what Dyche has said in press conferences and interviews, where he's reminding them that they are a good team and the last season's achievements weren't a fluke sort of thing. And I think that's that positive reinforcement, isn't it? And I think he's just been such a breath of fresh air. Like, not that I didn't like Nuno or anything, but I just think Dyche has got that bit more character about him. They're clearly passionate about being in this job. We read the article in the Times about Wone doing cartwheels out the training ground sort of thing when they found out they got the job. Do you know what I mean? That you want to hear that kind of thing. You want to hear that these people are happy to come to work, and especially at our club.
You think as well, I mean, Nuno and his staff, I mean, they were brilliant. I actually think, and I know a couple of people have said the same thing, Nuno was a fantastic manager, but he was his backroom staff as well. And the way they all kind of, they were fantastic. I think we have that again with the trio, because I think they have a bit of although they're all in the 60s, they all have a bit of a lad attitude about them. I think they all like to think they're in the 20s and 30s, like one of the lads. But at the same time, they're clearly, like we read in the article earlier this week, it is gaffer and things like that. So there is obviously that level between them, but I think they all like to get down with the kids. So we're going to say it in a cringy way. So yeah, I think they've just brought in a renewed breath of fresh air, like you said. And we won't talk about those dark 8 or 9 games in the middle where it all went a bit wrong, but there was clearly something really not happy there. And to come as far as we have in that month period is really good to see, because there was a kind of worry that toxicity was starting to spread, because it was in the stands, it was in the players. You could tell from the way that everyone around, and I know the staff at the club weren't particularly happy either. So the fact that I'm not going to say it's fixed, but it's almost back to how it was a little bit, I think that's positive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking forward to when Ole Einer's back or whatever. He's piggybacking Dyche or Wone or Stone down the wing or something at one point in the season. I'm sure it will happen. Like, but
absolutely.
Yeah, get a fiver on it. Emma, I mean, let's talk about the first goal. I mean, we wrote our look out a little bit, but we don't need to talk about that too much. I mean, at the time when the goal goes in, obviously VAR are going to get involved with Dan and Doyle potentially standing in front of Alisson, but we've seen since now pictures. I don't know what he's got to complain, but it's some finish from our centre back, in it. I mean, he's why will he not score a 30-yarder? Like, that's what we ever want.
I thought in the build-up it was poor from Kiate. There was a billboard in Liverpool that said he's just like some Under Armour like advertising that said "Be the problem." And when obviously he conceded the corner, I was like, well, he is the problem. They can't complain that he was in his line of sight for me. Absolutely. When they were checking it in the ground, I said to Jess, what on earth are they checking it for? Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I thought it was poor defending. I thought Murillo took it fantastically and he deserved it. He was an absolute war yesterday, and he's just a joy, isn't he? I could watch him all the time.
What did you
it
make
was
of
nice
his
to go on. Sorry.
Go on. What did you make of his interview afterwards? Because he's such a smiley man.
Oh, and we listened to it in the car, didn't we, Jess? And we had a full car on the way home, and we were like, "Oh, let's get all the interviews." You know, Dash being ripped for his awful wave at the end of the game, and like Jess said, you know, one of the lads asking him for a day off. But I think it's clear, Murillo, that he loves it and that he's settled. It'd be very easy for him to see us as a stopgap, or, you know, I'm going to get that move to, you know, Madrid or wherever. I don't need to learn English. I don't need to embrace it. You know, he was tapping his chest at one point during the game yesterday. His English is brilliant. It was nice to hear from him, and people talk with a smile, and you could hear it, and that was really nice.
Yeah, great. I mean, Matt, not long afterwards, and I mean, I'm sure there was confusion in the stands, but Igor Jesus has been completely robbed of a first Premier League goal. I mean, I can't believe how quick it came as well afterwards. That, and I think generally, I mean, I know that Liverpool did collapse later on in the second half, especially at the start of the second half. I mean, they looked done and dusted there, and then if that had countered, and thankfully it didn't matter in the end, but. I mean, at the time, he must have been absolutely gutted for him because he's been brilliant since he's come in.
I think that there was a bit of a indication of what was to happen later on in the game in terms of a Liverpool collapse after we scored in the 5 minutes earlier, which led to, of course, the Jesus disallowed goal. Because I turned to the lad next to me when they were coming back from celebration of the second one, they were checking VAR. I said to the lad next to me that they're really rattled and we've proper got under their skin here. So I think that was a bit of an indication of their collapse later on in the game that was showing in that first half, or the last kind of like 15 minutes of it. I was completely confused. So my view, I was like row 4 yesterday, and I looked through the goal. The goal with the away end, of course, that Murillo scored at, I was looking through that net all game. So I was completely confused about when Jesus scored, they all ran off. The lad in front of me was saying it's handball. And then I looked on social media later and it wasn't. And it was all just like really, really confusing. I think with like modern day football nowadays, as like we're all match going fans, my indication with I'm always like very hesitant to celebrate nowadays with that being away end or at Nottingham because of my concern of that they're always going to find something on VAR to rule it out. So it was all very, very confusing. But yeah, as Igor Jesus goes, it's like I think he's a bit of an unfashionable striker, and I thought this against Man United for the second goal for Savona's first goal when he caused chaos, and of course the ball bounced to Savona and Savona knocked it in. And yesterday, Van Dijk and Kouyaté absolutely hated playing against Jesus because he's just a nuisance. He's like, for a small bloke coming against two centre-halves, he wouldn't really fancy your chances, but he's very nimble on his feet. He's very technically gifted. He can do the physical side of the game for a small bloke as well. I just think he's just a real nuisance to play against. And I think if he can consistent goal output into his game more, I think we've got a genuine, really good striker. And it's not just me saying that. I get people outside the Forest paternity that say that as well about Jesus, that he's I think he's going to be really, really good for us in the long term.
I think what's good about the goal though, it's probably his first like real clear cut chance in the Premier League. I think a lot of it's been half chances and stuff. I know in the cup games he's had like tap ins and stuff, but it's a great finish. So for me, I think if he gets chances later down the line, which I think he will, because I just think this team is set up to create chances at will when we get in full flow. You're thinking he will probably score some goals for us, and then obviously you still got Chris Wood to come back. You got Taiwo, who seems to have had a bit of a resurgence. Obviously, Caleb Mwendo has been a bit unfortunate, but it bodes well for the future. I think with Jesus and that finish, despite it getting disallowed wrongly.
Absolutely,
to respond.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. As for, and just to follow on something that Em said with Murillo as well, there's been two times where he's like, because of course yesterday when he scored he was doing the whole pat in the batch thing, but it's like he's got this thing within games. He did it at 1-1 against Leeds in front of the A block where he kind of like waves his hands and kind of like, come on, get behind us. And he did it yesterday at 3-0. I think it was Soboslai smashed the ball over the bar and it was about 5 minutes before injury time, and he was doing the same thing again, like getting towards the away end, like giving it someone saying get behind us. And I think like he's obviously very settled. He's played for us. Has he been at the football club for 2 and a bit years now? His English is coming on. I know it's very difficult for an overseas player, and I think like he's like really, like I said, I feel like I think there's inevitability given his ceiling and his skill that I think we may well outgrow him. Hopefully not, but I think if one of the big, particularly Spanish teams come calling, then he probably will be sold. But at this moment in time, I think we've got a real settled player on our hands and someone that's, well, I think is only going to get better and better, really.
It'd be well boring for him to go to Real Madrid. It's too easy. Too easy. Yes, obviously we got justice in the second half. Immediately from kickoff, Nicola Savona has turned into a maraudering right back. I mean, his defending is to be worked on. I think. I don't think he's totally like. He's got frailties. Don't get me wrong, but I think Dyche's got a lot to work there with, especially with him going forward. He seems to keep he's popping up. I mean, and it's a great pass from Dominguez into Williams. But I mean, I don't think were people back in their seats in the away end, but when that goal went in,
half of us, they were still trawling the way back, and you could see everyone's disgruntled faces like, oh, I can't believe I've missed that. Yeah, but Savona, I mean, we've said it before, we were talking about it yesterday, me and Emma were like, he's come from a league where they give you 5 working days time on the ball, and it isn't like that in the Premier League. The Premier League is intense. Before we got promoted, I used to watch the Premier League and knew it was a good league. I don't think it is until you play and see it day in, day out, when you realise the stamina, how much fitness you have to even play half an hour in the Premier League. You turn, someone's on you. You pass, someone's on you. He is learning that in abundance. He has been put into a position. We have a very good player in his place, Aina, who's obviously injured at the moment. He has got big boots to fill. It has been a struggle for him, I'm not going to lie, but the way he is approaching his game and the way that you can see him adapting and learning every single game. Yesterday, when sort of the teams came out, now we know Liverpool obviously aren't in a great position at the moment. They're in a bit of a struggle, but take nothing away from the fact they're £500 million squad. You did fear for Savona. And in the first probably 20 minutes, half an hour, he was getting caught, not through lack of trying. It was just him. But as the game went on, similar to the rest of the team, you could see his confidence get in. He knew what he was doing. And all of a sudden, he was finding himself in the right places. Not every time, but most times. And I think yesterday's game as well will give him the world of good, doing the world of good moving forward. Because if he can do it against teams like that, then hopefully when your big six teams come to you, he's going, well, I did it against them, so I can do it against these. This is how they played, so this is how I can play again. But you're right, going forward, he just pops up. It's a little bit random at times. He just, like when he scored, and I'm like, obviously it was delirium. We saw the ball hit the back of net and we're going mad. And I think it was Lewis turned to me and went, that was Savona. I'm like, you're joking. how was Savona scored like? And I think, was it Radio Nottingham said it yesterday? Never thought I'd say Savona puts it into the top right corner in front of the Kop to make it 2-0 to Forest. I'm like, well, yeah, like who on earth would have said that before yesterday? But yeah, it was fantastic. And I think at a half time, similar to what I was saying earlier, you do have this thing. You're at Anfield, Liverpool, if you're going to be like that. You know that they've got the team, the fans on side. You know that they're used to getting the decisions go their way. They have got the ability to turn it up with the squad that they have. And you did think that decision in the first half against Jesus was potentially a game turner for us, because it could have gone bad. So to come out and within a minute put the record straight with Savona as well, absolutely outstanding. Just, I can't fault them. And it was the determination as well, because it wasn't an easy goal to score. The defence wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but they were on him. I mean, Williams turned him and managed to keep the ball and things like that. Fantastic from the lot of them. And it was a half team effort as well, because each player dug in to get that goal done within a minute.
I mean, I think it's such an underrated pass from Dominguez. I've rewatched it this morning and I'm like, how's he played the ball there? And then McAllister gets absolutely, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, he's a World Cup winner, and I thought he was poor. I mean, Anderson played at like 70% yesterday and was head and shoulders above anyone on that pitch in midfield. Just unbelievable. I mean, what was that atmosphere like in the away end after that? I mean, in your head well, that's all I could hear, to be fair.
And to touch on the second goal, I think it was Reece that put it in the chat. It reminded us a bit of the last few seasons at Arsenal. you go in 1-0 down, they come out, they score really early in the second half, and it kind of, sorry, Gromit's here, and it kind of kills it off. That was the vibe I got. Their heads were gone. They weren't communicating. You know, they brought that young lad on, didn't they, Rio? You could just see it on Match of the Day. They were all just stood there, you know, looking around. They didn't look interested. Their heads went down. I love to see it. Absolutely love to see, you know, the fans behind the away end, you know, everyone was turning around, you know, giving it whatever at them, and they were giving it back, and it was lovely, the head loss. But you still can't get comfortable as a Forest fan, even at 2-0 up. And there was a young lad in front of us that was, you know, when we were 3-0 up after about 85 minutes, he was like, "Come on, Forest, we can't let this slip now." And I was like, that is such a line. 10 minutes to go,
brought well.
Out of time. And you 3-0 up, and you still can't relax as a Forest fan. But it was, you know, to score both sides at Anfield was lovely.
Do you think though that confidence is coming back into not only the team but into that fan base now, where we've got our first clean sheet in 19 games? Maybe that will start to be a thing of our personality, almost our trait, where we are hard to break down. It seems like we are slowly getting back to that. I mean, we've had 3 clean sheets, I think, in 7 games or so of Dyche, or 6 games. I can't remember exactly, but it's clearly like going to be something that is going to breed that confidence back in. And I feel like eventually we'll be like, yeah, we're all a bit of a brick wall again, which I think is only going to bode well for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, Nuno had a kind of a solid back 4-5, didn't he? You know, and you kind of always knew they were the cemented players. I think you can see that now. For me, this might sound controversial, Aina potentially struggles to get straight back in front of Savona. For me.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
that's
nice
a bold
problem
statement,
to have. It's a nice problem to have.
It's a lovely problem to have, but I don't see how, you know, Dyche said there's going to be rotations on Thursday, and potentially, you know, Savona potentially will be one of them. I don't see how Aina, for me, walks straight back in front of Savona. You know,
I don't think he'll walk straight back in, but I do think, because Aina's 1v1 defending is sublime. I think that's what he has over Savona. But Savona's scoring goals and at will. So
you know, 2-2 now, and he, bless him, the Italian prince.
That's
Hopefully,
it.
We'll see him at Last Story on Christmas Eve.
if I can tap back in there, I think one of the problems with Aina is the fact that, I mean, he looks tired from 10 minutes on, but on 70, 80 minutes, he really is tired. I think it is a really good thing that we have got a decent rotation option for him, because we haven't really had a decent rotation option for him. And be honest, he was a big miss. I think there was moments yesterday with Savona where I said that's where Aina would have done a really good job of that particular thing, which is taking nothing away from Savona. I don't think he'll walk straight back in, but I think because Savona's coming into his own, I think it's given Aina the chance to get properly fit, because we as a club have had a really bad track record of rushing players back on the need and the must to get them fit. And I'm going to say Taiwo for that one. We've contributed to his struggle.
Massively.
Yeah, massive. We've really wrecked him, because we relied on him so heavily that we pulled him back when we shouldn't have pulled him back on multiple occasions and never gave him the option. It's nice to have players now where we can give them the time and the buffer where they can have 10, 15, 20-minute cameos, building them back up into that Premier League fitness without breaking them again. So, yeah, I don't know whether he walks straight back in, but I think he isn't needed to. I think this is really good. And when he is back in, because I do think Aina will still be the first choice, he has got a good rotation for when he is knackered, basically.
I mean, Matt, what's your opinion on Aina Savona situation?
I think it's I completely agree with everything that Jess has said in terms of, and Em as well, to be fair, because of course Savona's goal scoring output at the moment, it is very random. They're just popping up, and the thing is, you want a good team, is you want goals all over the pitch. And like I said, if your fullback's chipping in as well, that's a massive bonus as well. I think that I think we have contributed massively towards players' long-term injuries. We've played T because it's been absolutely needs must. Whereas now, I suppose this is the whole thing of building a squad and having players of a level where they can come in and they can sustain the team. And then if an injured player comes back, we don't have to force them back in because it's such a drop off. Now, Olarena's all-round game, you'd have to say, is significantly better than Savona's, particularly from a defensive output. But in terms of like continuity and consistency, I wouldn't go changing it and putting a half baked or a half match fit Olorena straight back in. They've got to be faced back in, and hopefully this is where it's going to be beneficial with Europe, where we can rotate, because with respect to the teams that we've got left in the Europa, probably barring Braga, the 2 home games, you would like to think they're games that we should win. So hopefully that will give a chance for rotation and players that are coming back from injury to build match fitness back into them and get them back into form, and that will only bode well for the season that's ahead. I just want to touch upon as well, just on a slightly funnier note, just to touch upon what you said about 5-10 minutes ago about Forest being Forest. It's like, if this football club can let a 4-5 goal swing indicate a playoff place 5 years ago, we can let a 2 or 3 goals. The only time I was chilled yesterday in the ground was 3-0 up, probably in about the first minute of injury time. Even at 3-0, when they brought that kid on, and he was beating, he beat a tired Savona down that forward side he got in. I thought, if they get one here, the crowd will lift, and it'll be like, and it was like, but yeah, it's we've all watched Forest long enough to know that it's like, it's never a safe bet. And like I said, I was only comfortable at 3-0 in the first minute of injury time. At grounds like that, I don't know, it's just following on from what I think it might have been what Em said. It's like the game can get away from you very quickly, and it's like a 2-goal lead isn't a comfortable buffer at Anfield. They get 1, they get 2 very, very quickly. They get 1, the crowd gets behind them. It can escalate. 1 can give them 2, and then you're holding on, trying to hold on for a point. So yeah, and that's the one thing we did so well yesterday. We didn't let them get up ahead of steam. We didn't let the crowd kind of dictate or kind of spur them on to get back into it. It was all very arm's length stuff, and that's only credit to ourselves, because it is. I know they're in a bad run of form, and it's like, just to kind of like, it shouldn't be underestimated the magnitude of what we've done 2 consecutive seasons. Over the past decade, it's one of the most difficult places to win in European football, Anfield, and we've done that over 2 seasons with an aggregate score of 4-0. I know they're not in a great moment at the moment, but they've still got a lot of quality on that pitch. So to do what we've done is like, it's, for me, I was talking about this earlier. I'm interested to know what you guys think. For me, it's our best performance since promotion. I really, really think that, in terms of the magnitude, what we did yesterday, going to the Champions, winning 3-0, the manner of which we did it could have been more. So yeah, it's brilliant, and it only bodes well. So I know I've gone on like a tangent there, but it's absolutely brilliant.
To add to Matt about, you know, them being the champions and frustrating them, Van Dijk's post-match interview, I will continue to watch that.
Yes.
You know, if I'm feeling down one day, you know, I've had a bit of a rough day, he was dying to say that it was an embarrassing result, or whatever word you want to slot in there. We rattled them yesterday, and I love it. So I just wanted to add that part about his post-match interview.
I mean, would you agree, Emma, with Matt? It was our best performance since returning.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a special mentions for quite a few games, isn't there? You know, the Fulham home game, you know, the City home game, etc. But I think
Brighton, who we've got next.
Brighton, to go to the champions, you know, yes, like Matt said, they're on a bad run of form, but you know, they're bringing Ekatike on, and I was just stood there like, oh, here we go. You know, they had a dangerous players to bring on consistently. I forgot he was on the pitch at one point. Isak is always a threat against Forest.
Worst player I've seen, worst performance I've seen from him.
But yeah, I think that for the magnitude and the result, and you know, we look comfortable. It could have been 4-5, well, it should have been 4, but we won't get into that again. Because my head was Christian Hart.
was it on the Christian Hart scale?
I was hard, and then my cousin texted me after the game saying that the ref was a Huddersfield fan. So maybe that's why we don't know. But
do you know, I had this weird thing in the ground yesterday. Interested with you girls being there as well. It was like at full time yesterday, whereas like last year when I went, we were obviously clinging on, and it was an element of like ultimate joy and relief at the end that we'd done it, and it was like really jubilant. I kind of like when the players kind of came over yesterday and everybody was clapping and everybody was like, obviously, I kind of felt like there was like a shock element where nobody really knew how to feel. It was like, that just happened? Like, it was like 3-0. It kind of like, it was almost a little bit subdued because of that, because it was like 3-0 at Anfield. I mean, the big clubs don't come here And with, I mean, I know you could argue over the past decade you wouldn't constitute them as a consistent like Big Six club, but like United won there a few weeks ago and they were hanging on for dear life. We've just won there and won like it was just like nothing. It was like injury time. It was like when they put the board up for 5, I thought you can put 10 up if you want because you're not going anywhere with it. So it was like it was just like
we were going to score more goals if anything.
Yes, it's like forcing a corner at 3-0, everybody going 4-4-4. I thought, okay.
when you've said it twice now about like in the last decade, and to just put in the magnitude and forget how good or bad Liverpool are, because they've been up and down for years now. Like they've been champions, they've also been more mid-tablish. They've gone through the rafters for the last 10-15 years where they've gone up, and I mean they've never dropped into the bottom half of the table really, but there was a couple of seasons where they've been poor. What was the stat yesterday? It is their joint worst loss that they've had in their Premier League tenure. So you're going back before I was born, and there's only one team that has matched that result at Anfield, and that was Manchester City. So we can take, Liverpool were poor, the weather was bad, thanks Scott, whatever. There's no other team other than Man City that has managed to do, and Liverpool still scored against Man City in that game. So just putting that one out there.
I know. Yeah, we'll ride that one until I don't know, till the days
until the next
again.
two comes along. Who they're playing at home next? If they go and beat them 3 or 4-0, I'm gonna be really mad.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's just funny, isn't it? Go on, Emma.
Sorry, just to touch on what Matt said about full time. There was, I said it to Reece when I got home. I know they're not going to play any music for an away team winning, but there was no, post match, music or anything from Anfield. It was just a Forest noise, and it was a bit like, have we just done that? Like, it was a bit weird at full time. I agree with Matt. It was a bit weird. I
can imagine, because we've not spoken about the third goal yet, Matt. But I mean, the fire drill must have been well in force. I mean, I don't know if the announcement came on. It did last season. What was it? Operation Anfield exercise or whatever. Yes. That must have come on. I mean, that made me and Reece laugh quite a lot last season. To be fair, but like the third goal is classic Forest from last season. Just two passes and kind of two passes because of Hutchinson's shot. And I mean, he probably should have scored actually, but I mean, Gibbs-White's on tremendous form. First time in his career where he scored 3 goals in 3 games. It's a great finish. It's where you want your number 10 to be. And that's where he's been getting in the box this season under Dyche, actually. He scored 2 headers against Leeds and United. Yesterday, he's in the right spot, being on the penalty spot to put that ball in when it's forward to him. And he's played himself right back into form because he has had a sticky patch this season, but he's looking good again. And I think he will be giving Thomas Tuchel food for thought if he keeps it up, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think there's 2 things with Morgan that have really come to fruition. I think that one, I think he's realised, and I know that I know Reece has always been quite vocal with this, and I don't really disagree with him really in terms of with England's midfield options. That's a whole different debate about whether Gibbs-White gets in at all, and Reece doesn't seem to think that he would, and I do agree with that. But I also think as well that Morgan's realised that for me to even have a chance, I need to up my game. And I also think as well there's maybe a penny's dropped a little bit. Now I'm not going to go into the why, because that's a whole different conversation. We could go down about the antics in the summer, his agent trying to engineer what I felt was a move out the football club to go to Spurs, and I think maybe the penny's dropped a little bit, that firstly my England place is in jeopardy, and secondly everything that's happened in the summer and my performance level since doesn't look great. For my relationship with the club, with the fans, I need to increase play how I can and increase I don't really think his work rate's ever been in question. Maybe that's a bit unfair, but I think that he's like, I need to start rebuilding bridges, because when I rebuild those bridges and I play well at club level, that will hopefully spark a resurgence back into the England team. But it was but no, he's been, since Dyche has come in the door, you could say for Gibbs-White, but I think all of them. Do you know what? I even think, as ridiculous as it sounds, because I know he's been pretty consistent all season round, I even think Elliot Anderson's taken his game to another level under Dyche. It just looks like it just looks like a happy camp. I put on Twitter yesterday, it looks like the harmony and the togetherness in the squad from last season is back, and that's what last season's success was built on. So it's really, really good, and I'm pleased for Gibbs-White as well, because it's like, I think there's been elements of the fan base where what happened in the summer are stuck in their heads, and maybe there's been a level of apathy, maybe because of that. But in terms of like, if you want to rebuild bridges with supporters and get them back on side, maybe they weren't ever against you, but maybe just kind of like kick the elephant in the room, then by all means perform to that level. He's increased his goal scoring output and his contributions since Dyche has been back, has been manager. And like I said, he looks like the player that he knows that he can be. And happy Gibbs White can only obviously enhance Forest. So it's like I said, it's like I said, he's been brilliant, but they all have. I don't want to single anybody particularly out, because not only yesterday, I think that since Dyche has come in the door, I think barring Bournemouth, to a man, they've looked a whole lot better and lot more to what they can be.
Yeah, definitely. Just to round off talking about the game as a whole, I saw something from WT Analysis, which I think partly goes against the grain of what Dyche is all about. I mean, I think we was pressing with like 6 or 7 players at 3-0 up, and for me, I think he's really relishing. Like when we spoke about it very briefly, but he's really relishing being Forest manager at the moment. I think he's really taking it by the bull by the horns as such, and I'm hoping that if we can start pulling ourselves away from this relegation zone, this relegation fight potential, I just think we might see a different Sean Dyche come out, because he has reiterated that he's never had the tools to do it, the money that we've done it, but we've spent a lot of money in the summer on a lot of good talented players. So I'm intrigued to see what happens over the next coming weeks, and hopefully it will come out sooner than later, because we've got the players to do so. Mario Hutchinson looks like a kid reborn. Such a shame that he's not in the Europa League squad to play in midweek, because I think he'd probably start in that game against Malmo. But we will just move on. I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsors. We've got Vesta Blinds, who are joined us for this time round. If you want to check them out, vestablinds.com. You can get their email there. It's on screen, and their phone number to get your blinds in for Christmas, hopefully. And then Trent Side Threads. I'm not wearing my Ola Aina shirt. I've not bought it with me with Ribena, but he's got a host of different gear on there: hoodies, t-shirts, all different colours. Obviously, we're showing the Murillo one quite nicely there. I think quite justice, and obviously we're waiting for Igor Jesus to do that celebration in a Premier League game. But TrentSideThreads.co.uk, you can use RSOT for 10% off. We're going to get into some slept on it thoughts, actual slept on it thoughts rather than on the day. So we'll go through them.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
I'm not biased, but Abdoon on the Moon is my favourite Twitter handle ever. So the better team won. Should have been 5. Murillo and more Gibbs White back and purring again. James, we are so in Arnie's head 3 times, and all he has to show against us is a singular point to our 7 against us. It should have been 4, and we was ruthless. My man of the match today was Anderson, hands down. He is so going to be our best player this season after all these performances. Carl Booth, unbelievable effort from the entire team. 10s all around, defensively sound again with real threat going forward. Hutchinson off the bench caused chaos again. Liverpool may have issues, but we seem to be correcting ours. You Reds, NFFC Red, just simply beautiful team performance. 10 out of 10, everyone on that pitch. Still fuming about that Igor no goal, such tidy finish. Ian Finch, ironically, who's the man behind our jingle there, absolutely class performance from every Forest man on the pitch. They tried to deny us a win by chalking off a perfectly decent goal and getting in our heads, but it's Arnie who won't sleep tonight. I'm not even going to try and repeat this Twitter handle. I don't actually know. Liverpool third is second half. Hutchinson has to be a start for me. Blocking has been insane from us and made them really annoyed first half. We are running for every ball again. That is the mentality of last season. Bin it. We are back, aren't we? Question mark. Gary Bolden Nerd, Magic. Sean Dyche has got them singing again. Albert, Fred, you Reds. Capanosity. I can't think up of anything funny, wise or clever to describe that. It was just a plan perfectly executed by a group of players and staff fully committed to the cause. The season starts today. Mark Baker, absolutely outstanding. If that's what Dyche ball is, I'll take it every day of the week. And Tom Newton, yet another annual win at Anfield. I'm getting very used to this. Another game that of Nico Williams, Pocket and Mo Salah. Murillo was unbelievable. Best player on the park. No Forest player below an 8. Massive confidence boost with a win and clean sheet. We're back. So brilliant. Thank you very much for everyone that got in touch. Thank you for everyone that's joined us this morning. Nearly 200 people in here, so that's good. A Question from Pat: why don't VAR send refs to the monitor in England? I have absolutely no clues. This is where I think the appeal system would have been perfectly in good use yesterday for Madley to go and have a look at that one, but it didn't matter in the end. But we'll get into some player performances. Jess, I'm going to start with yourself. I'm going to let you have free reign because you're first. You kind of get the first of the draft, I guess. Pick whoever you like and wax lyrical.
We've spoken about him already, but I am going to go back to him because I do have a couple of things to say about him, which is Morgan Gibbs-White. We've spoke about the problems that he's had this season. We spoke about what's happened in the summer. But I think one of the things that I saw yesterday, and I spoke about it on the walk back to the car in my delirium, one thing that he did yesterday, which he doesn't normally do, he only did it once throughout the game, is what I can recall. He didn't do any flicks. He didn't try and do anything tricky. He didn't try and do anything clever. Everything that he did yesterday was hard fought, head down, no nonsense. It was pure, strong football. He had one little flick which came off in the second half where he sort of like tapped it to his leg and took it towards the cop. But I thought his performance yesterday was that of a pure leader. And we spoke about him and obviously, like I say, struggles and coming into himself a bit more. That yesterday was what we have been crying out for Gibbs-White for so long. When we've needed a leader to take us forward in these harder days that have just previously gone by, we know what he can do. We know what his quality is. We know that when he's on his day, he is one of the best players in the Premier League to create something for attackers. And yesterday he was everything. The ball that ended up for Jesus that then obviously went out for the first goal for the corner, that was, he had 2 or 3 Liverpool players absolutely surrounding him, yet he managed to get that ball over. That is grit and that's determination. And it is so nice to see him stop those little flicks. I love it when it comes off. When it comes off, it's the best feeling in the world, and everyone does those little oohs, and it's like prime FIFA. But yesterday it was great because I think to go somewhere like Anfield, you can't try and play them at their own game. You can't try and out tippy tap them. You have to be gritty football, and I think he was brilliant yesterday. Everything he did came off, and I was so impressed with the attitude towards it because he was in tricky situations where you think he would try and do it, but he just didn't. And again, his attitude change been fantastic. I haven't criticised him as much as others. I think I've sort of sat quietly on it because I was really angry with what happened in the summer. And I was really frustrated with the fact that it was sort of like his attitude at the beginning of the season. I was like, oh, yeah, but he wanted to move away. But yes, but he's also now our highest ever paid footballer. It's like if someone paid me that amount to shut up and play football, I think I'd do it. But no, I think yesterday, absolutely outstanding. And I mean, any player could have been put forward for man of the match, but I think for his absolute grit and determination, he's up there as well, alongside Anderson and Murillo for me for absolutely outstanding. His play changed the game. He made things happen yesterday, which I don't think we've seen enough of. We spoke about his work rate has always been there, but it hasn't always came off. Yesterday it came off and it was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think him simplifying his game makes him a better footballer, personally.
Yeah.
I think just give and go, be on the move, be active. I think it makes him a far better footballer than like you say, doing the tricks. And he carried, like you say, Jess, he carried the ball really well when he could, and he did the simple things right. And it just, I think that made us a better team overall. And I'm glad he's getting in them areas in the penalty box to score goals now, because that's something that we've all really hounded him about. Is his output is not always assists has never been a problem. It's goal scoring, and because you look at all the other number 10s in the league, like Palmer, Foden, Maddison, for an example, Morgan Rogers, who he's in competition with, they all score quite a lot of goals, and he doesn't tend to score that many. So hopefully Dyche has somehow found a formula for him to score goals, because I think he's our top Premier League scorer. Savona and Chris Wood are behind him with 2 each. Obviously, he guys who scored 5 in cup competitions. So you know.
Well, we've said, haven't we? Like, if Anderson and Gibbs-White could actually score goals regularly, we'd be absolutely mustard. We
would win the league.
We keep saying as well that how many times has he got the ball on the edge of the area and everyone shouted shoot. I mean, we shouted at Murillo to shoot from the other side of the pitch, but that's beside the point. But how many times do we get frustrated because he doesn't take a chance on himself? And on the odd chance that he does, he skies it and things like that. But if he's got it in a good position. Take a chance on yourself, a proper chance. Don't always look for the ball, because although that's what he's good at, he tends to get caught in possession at the minute because his confidence hasn't been high. I'm not going to say that's because he's not good at it, but it has been a bit rocky. But he took a chance on himself yesterday with that shot and it came off. Keep taking that chance. He finds himself in great positions, and adding that to his game it's been brilliant. And we know he's got a good header because he did it against Wolves last season. Much to the frustration
quite a
of
lot
the
of
Wolves
headers,
fans.
actually.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah, no, there was an opportunity. I think he should have shot from the edge of the box first half and tried to play Jesus, and I just thought pull the trigger, but it will come out hopefully.
Yeah.
Emma, obviously you get next pick because it's ladies first. Sorry, Matt.
There's two that I would like to talk about. So if I can be greedy, I'm gonna go.
Maybe I'll let you.
We'll see. Well, I'll start with one, and then if you allow me to be greedy, we'll carry on with the other. I would like to go with Amari Hutchinson.
Fair.
I follow rugby. I get Reece rips me for it. But
and rightfully so as well, Ed.
you enjoyed that New Zealand game last week, Matthew.
And he didn't enjoy the cricket. So.
Yeah.
They call substitutions in rugby finishers, and that's kind of starting to come into football a bit more now. And I think psychologically in rugby, that makes you a team. You're not, my starting 15 in rugby and my substitutions that are coming on. There's not that boundary. They're seen as a full team, and I think to have that in football and see Amari Hutchinson as a finisher, for me, he shouldn't have started yesterday, and that it was the right thing to bring him on when they did, because he destroyed them, and he came on and he finished the game. He got, like Jess said, he should have really scored with that shot, but he could argue he kind of set it up for Gibbs White. He, I think, is a missing piece that we've missed for a while. But he's pacey, he's young, he's clearly eager to impress. It's just such a shame that he's not in that Europa League squad. It really is.
I'd be intrigued to see when Back was back as well, because I just think he's got so much to give as well. And I think both of them are very exciting. And what I like about Hutchinson, he goes both ways. Robertson didn't know what to do with him yesterday, and he ended up retiring him. So lovely.
Which was pleasing. My dislike of Scotland was quite pleasing to see. But yeah, he's, for me at the minute, his role is a finisher, to come on after an hour and finish that game, and he did it brilliantly yesterday.
Yeah, I'll let you be greedy after Matt's.
Let's see if Matt's on the same wavelength as me.
Go on, Matt. Who you want to talk about?
I'm going to be quite unfashionable, and it was a bit of a back to basics performance. But like I said, I was behind the net, so in the second half, I could see the whole of his mannerisms, and I was really impressed with just how he conducts himself and his calmness. When I say Matt Sells, I just thought he's just his calmness yesterday, his distribution, clean takes of the football during pressure moments. I thought that is the keeper that we had last season. And I thought to a keeper that's quite clearly struggling for form, to go into an environment like that, okay, we protected his goal pretty well in terms of general shot stopping, albeit at a couple, but in terms of like I said, we were examined quite a lot with, I think it's so evident, and I said this in our chat, I think it was against Man United or against Leeds, that people have identified a weak spot for Forest of, if you get a corner, in swing and dip it under the crossbar because the keeper's uncertain. I thought yesterday, his his general distribution, clean catches of the football, in pressure moments when we needed to release pressure, taking time out of the game, his kicking, apart from one towards the end, which was awful, but his kicking to try and get us away. And I thought it was in terms of I don't think we want to be in a position again. I think there's nothing worse in football than having a link in your team where the keeper situation is uncertain. I think it benefits everybody long term with if you have a settled keeper that's in good form and you know very much what you're going to get. And I thought in terms of going towards the cells that we had last season and hopefully, because let's face it, he's been so low on confidence. And I don't think, I was watching some highlights of last season actually the other night, and I thought, and some of the his contributions towards our wins last season was massive, and you don't become a bad keeper overnight. And I just thought in terms of getting him back on that that road to where we need him to be and get some confidence back into him. And the biggest thing of a clean sheet, which I couldn't believe, was our first clean sheet in 19. Was to get him back on the road with that, get confidence back in, and getting him back to where we need to be. I thought was massive, and I was so pleased for him yesterday because I know it's been a difficult start to season for him. So hopefully, like I said, now he can really kick on, and like I said, be the keeper that we know he can be.
Fair. I mean, I'm liking this. It's all quite different players from yesterday. Emma, I'll let you be greedy then. Go on. I don't think you chose Matt Sellers.
No, it definitely wasn't Matt Sellers. No one's mentioned him yet at all today, but I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out or whatever to Sangare.
Yeah.
I think he has completely come under the radar. You've got the whole Sangare Yates debate and whatever. I'm not going to go into that. He has been brilliant, and I think he's only going to continue to get better. And he's come under a lot of flack, and sometimes potentially rightly so. Conceding those 2 penalties at the start of the season, whatever. But he was solid yesterday. He did everything that he needed to do, and he's been absolutely solid for weeks. So I think he needs to be spoken about probably a lot more than what he is.
And Nuno won't be having him in January either.
No, well, he'll be going to AFCON more than likely. But yeah, no, I think he's come on this season. I think he looks fitter, he looks sharper. Them gangly legs are getting into positions to nick the ball where they probably shouldn't. I'm in agreement, Emma. And I think the way he plays, I know he's a bit nonchalant with it, but I think I quite like that style of football almost, because the way he strokes the ball it's quite unorthodox, but it gets the job done. And I think I like him trying to play them balls into players like Gibbs White or Anderson on the half turn, because especially Anderson, he just looks after the ball so well. It's good to see, and hopefully that will continue throughout. But yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. Is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about before we finish?
I was going to do a quick shout out as well, because we haven't spoke about him either, but I thought he had the best
Everyone's getting the whole team.
All of them. The best game he's had since he's came here was Ndoye yesterday.
Yeah,
I thought he played absolutely outstanding. His criticism that he gets is that he's not strong enough on the ball. Again, he's come from a league where, 5 working days on the ball, and it's very difficult. He has a very big task of stepping into some shoes that got emptied in the summer with Elanga, who was an absolute power horse for us towards the end of last season in particular. And he just brings something to his game. And yesterday he dug deep. There were some serious moments where he got us onto some tricky situations. There was a time, it was in the second half, I don't know how the ball didn't go out, but he held it and got it through and past 2 players. And I was like, oh my God, I think he's been decent all season, and he has area of his game which is absolutely fantastic, but all of it yesterday just seemed to accumulate together in one nice package, and you saw what he really had to offer. So yes, a shout out to the whole team, but I think Ndoye yesterday as well.
Don't you guys think as well? Sorry, I was going to say, don't you guys think as well? It's a bit, and I look at Savona, I look at Ndoye, look at some of the other players that we've got as well, which are like Hutchinson, and who knows if we're going to be able to engineer McAtee into the team. But in terms of particularly the overseas lads with Ndoye and Savona obviously didn't speak a word of English before he came here. So obviously he swapped Trent for West Bridgeford or whatever. In terms of we live in a society where everybody wants everything here and now, but nobody kind of factors in that players need a settling in period, and they've got to know the league, they've got to get to grips with the league and kind of their new teammates and the language. And it's like everybody wants everybody to hit the ground running, and I'm not sure in football it's always that case. And I think that with Ndoye and Savona, and maybe even I know there's been a lot of nuance and context to Sangare, and I know he's been here for a couple of years now, but even that, there's like a settling in period, and we're now reaping the rewards from kind of sticking with him over a period of time. And it's I just think you've got to play his time. I think you've got to play his time.
With Sangare as well, you have to give him all the credit, because it has not been an easy start for his career. He came for a lot of money, he had a lot of expectation on his shoulders. It did not work to begin with. He has stuck it out. He's obviously worked on a few things behind the scenes. He's managed to find his place. He's managing to keep his place, and he's managed to get plaudits whilst doing it as well. It is very easy for a player like that, and I'm sort of hoping it will happen to Callum Wendo as well, because we're seeing early Sangare days with him where he's looking really disjointed, really disappointed on the bench. You can see that he doesn't feel like he's part of the team. I mean, we saw that bench cam from Leeds. Disinterested potentially, disappointed definitely. That's what you see from him. That's what we used to get from Sangare. You could tell it was a struggle for him, the fact that he'd made that move and wasn't breaking in to Forest and making the impact that I presume he thought he would do, and that for the money we thought he would do. I think breaking in periods, and we have a lot of Brazilians that have come into this team. We forget Renan Lodi was fantastic for us, but at the end of that season, he really missed home. It cannot be easy for these players coming over here, taking a chance on, because it is the biggest league in the world, and struggling with the pace and the weather and the whole transition of it, the language, the culture. It's a big shock. If we upped our entire family and our entire lives tomorrow and moved over to Southeast Asia and told to go into a business that didn't speak English and do a good job, you would struggle. So you've got to add that with all the tenacity that comes with football and the pressure and the money and everything else that comes on it. These are young lads that are making these decisions, and a settling in period, you need to give them grace on it, which is why the Savona thing, yes, okay, he's not 100% there defensively, but seeing his improvements every single week, that's what I want to see from footballers. We pay a lot of money to go and watch football, a lot of money. This season in particular, I think I've already hit last year's quota already. And you sit there and you think, some people want results, and yes, we all want results, but I want to see teams and players that give a damn. I want them to care about Forest as much as I do for 90 minutes. And I think we have that with this team. Whether they're up to scratch at the minute, whether they're up to fitness, whether they're invested in the Premier League the way that they need to be, they're all trying, and I can't fault a single one of them, new or old, depending how long it's took them to integrate themselves in. I can't fault a single one of them for how hard they're trying for it. Under Ange as well, when it was a struggle.
Speaking too much sense here, Jess. That's what this podcast is not all about that. we want sandcastle facts like with Elliot yesterday. But no, I can't disagree at all. And I think the consistency of them guys getting game time, like Ndoye's not really been dropped a lot this season. I think people, they want that Alanga X factor that we had last season to be replaced. And you're not going to get that. I think what we're waiting for, and I don't think we're too far from it, it's the Ndoye that's playing for Switzerland, because he's scoring and getting assists for Switzerland on a regular basis. So he did that in the last international break. So, but he's getting there. I think he's slowly improving that physical presence. I think he's getting to grips with, well, actually, like you say, you get 5 working days in Italy. It's more technical and it's more about that sort of thing. But I think we'll see it, and the competition is far greater with our wingers. Hopefully, one backward comes back, but Hutchinson is now taking an opportunity off the bench. So that's going to be putting people at risk. Like Hudson-Odoi only got on for the last 15 minutes yesterday, 10-15 minutes yesterday, and he was the match winner last season. But I know he's just come back from that dead leg, so it only bodes well that we're having this competition. Like I say, just a shame that some players are registered for Europe to get that more game time. So definitely interesting going forward. But we're all moving on to Thursday. We'll wrap up after this. I mean, Emma, are you excited for Thursday for Malmo? I think people are expecting a win for sure, because of not only because of the golf and probably in class and money and everything, but I think just to keep this winning form going, if we get 3 wins on a bounce, take that into Brighton, who are playing very well this season as well, which is a big game.
This was one of the fixtures that I looked at when they came out, and you knew what was home and away, that we have to win, and I still think that we have to win it just to keep the confidence going and keep that the flow of the results that we've had at the minute. We should win that, absolutely. And I think that I want that top 8 in Europe, like Reece. We're going to Utrecht in a few weeks, and bless him, I think he's on about 4 or 5 different games. And
I know, he said
he just invoices me. But it would be good to get that top 8. Get some newer grounds in. Do some different places. I want that top 8, and if we're going to get that top 8, you need to be winning your home games. We've got to bury. I want them to be buried on Thursday.
Have you got a score prediction for Thursday, Emma?
I don't think I'm gonna go 2-0. 2-0 Forest.
Fair enough. Matt, what are your thoughts for Thursday and a score prediction?
First, I'm not even going, so I'm going to be watching on the telly. So I feel like I need to be like Carragher in the studio, like the freeze frame and all the tactical element of it. But no, I'll be. I am going to say, like, following on from M, I think it's going to be a. This is a game we should win, particularly if we're targeting that top 8. And I'll tell you something as well. I said this to a family member yesterday. All of those people, and I know domestically we're not out of the woods just yet in terms of clear of relegation. We've still got work to do. But in terms of everybody was like, this is why football is so reactionary. And I try and maybe I'm guilty of that sometimes, but I always try and look at the bigger picture. Everybody was like, oh, we need to bin Europe off. It's a relegation fight. All of a sudden, do you know what I mean? It's like, because my dream for the rest of the season now is that we're going to get to February, March. We're going to be safe in the Prem. Would have done what we need to do. Not suck it off completely, but we'll be fine. No danger of relegation. Still in Europe, and we can put all the eggs in the basket, and we can really go to try and win a cup competition.
And qualify for the Champions League. It's all
absolutely.
happening.
100%. But yeah, no. So Thursday night should win. Rotation. There's always the rotation element as well. Because I was thinking football continuity is a big thing, and when you make changes, it kind of can maybe not always tick how you want it to. But even then, I'm going to say similar to the Porto performance, robust, strong. We'll do what we need to do, and we'll win 2-0.
Fair. Jess, are you echoing everyone's thoughts?
I'm going to sound boring now because everyone else has said 2-0, but I'm sort of on it as well. The only thing that it doesn't make me nervous the wrong word, but it is that rotation. I do have a feeling that John probably come in as well as a keeper. I do think we're going to change a few of the players. Whether saw what happened in Graz, I don't think it's going to be that much. I think he left people at home because it was away. I think he left people at home as an extra thing. Whereas I think some of our first teamers will actually be on the bench properly because we're so close. But yeah, I do think 2-0 as well. If I'm not going to be boring, I'll go 2-1 and just add a bit of spice to the game.
I mean, I said 2-0 yesterday, but now I'm talking about it. Now I feel more about it. I think we might win like 4 or 5-0. Bugger it. Zach Abbott hat-trick.
So now you're burying them.
Yeah, I'm proper burying them. And to be fair, I don't see why we couldn't. We're starting to score goals. I think someone says to Sean Dyche, we're the great entertainers of the league, and he says, "Well, it'll take a 1-0 all day clean sheet sort of thing." I'm like, "No, Dyche, we're going to score 1 million goals. We need confidence."
Do you know what, Wilco? I was going to say? Sorry, just one final thing I was going to say on that, like the goal scoring pro-esque, and this is why, in terms of like how it does my head in how overanalyzed and the data analytics of football. I'm not saying data analytics are completely irrelevant, but they're not everything. Listen to a podcast, and this isn't me slandering off another podcast. I'm not going down that route. Just in terms of I listened to a podcast after the Bournemouth game, and the obsession was with the games that we had coming up and Dyche's history as a manager about where the goals were going to come from.
I mean, they're coming from everywhere.
Everywhere.
Now.
That's what I mean. Do you know what I mean? But that's what the point I'm making is it's just complete and utter irrelevance. Because with Dyche's previous teams, there's context, there's nuance in terms of like his Burnley team, his Everton team, maybe didn't have the forward players he wanted to work with. There's absolutely nothing can really be drawn from XG from a poor Everton team 2 years ago. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, no, I'm in complete agreement. But I'm looking forward to Thursday. Hopefully, I've got a Malmo fan to come on. I just need him to confirm. So we'll have a preview of a Malmo fan, which will be quite excited to talk about. Obviously, there's that history of us beating them in the 1979 European Cup final, and Trevor Francis being not quite the £1 million man, but the £1 million man to break their hearts in that time. So be interested to talk to them from that standpoint. And their season's finished. I mean, that is something that gives me a lot of confidence as well. Like a team's not even playing week in, week out in a domestic league, and so like for me, I just feel like we should be so much fitter and sharper than them. Doesn't always work like that, but that's it. So thank you very much for everyone that's joined us this morning. If you can drop us a like and a subscribe, that goes a long way. It's all free. 220 people here, just to make your anxiety a little bit worse, Emma.
I can see it in the top corner. I've tried not to look.
But no, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time when hopefully we'll be speaking to a Malmo fan. Until then, come on you Reds, enjoy the rest of your Sunday.